Good morning and welcome in. It is Wednesday, November 12th. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, and you found me here at the weather desk where we cover today's top weather headlines. And do we have a show today? Lots of interesting stuff to talk about, and we really kind of pick up where we left off yesterday with snow across parts of the country. Eastern U.S. was hit with a cold blast, setting up some really interesting kind of weather phenomena across the area. Early season snow. Let's get into our weather headlines and we'll take a look at what we're talking about. Again, snow for parts of the eastern U.S., especially the Northeast. That's where it was more significant. We even had some snow here in Hampton Roads. But we're going to turn our attention from the snow showers to frost flowers in Arkansas and in Kentucky. We'll show you what those are, kind of what formed, and we'll talk a little bit about that. In addition, we have to talk about snowflakes. It's getting to be that time of year. You might wonder, okay, there's a lot of different types of snowflakes, different ways that these ice crystals form. We're going to talk about that and what makes them different. That'll be coming up in just a bit. Got to update you on the tropics as we go from winter weather back to the tropics. Of course, this isn't in the Atlantic. We're talking about Fung-Wong over in the western part of the Pacific, and it has reached southern Taiwan this morning, producing some rain and wind. It is a weakened system, but we'll let you know how folks in Taiwan were preparing for that and what's happening right now across the southern part of Taiwan. In addition, look up. You may catch the northern lights, even here in Hampton Roads. The northern lights early this morning with a very large geomagnetic storm. They were visible all the way down into parts of the southern U.S. overnight. We had opportunities, and there were some folks that caught them here in Hampton Roads, but we also had a little bit of cloud cover overnight. We may have another chance to catch some more tonight. We'll talk about that. So you definitely want to look for those. I already called my wife this morning. I said, hey, we're going to take a walk along the beach, try to get away from the lights a little bit this evening after sunset and see if we can see a few of those northern lights. And then we're going to talk about the Escapade mission. This is the Blue Origin's Escapade mission set to launch today. They've had problems with the weather preventing them from launching previously, but there's a window this afternoon. There are 2 probes aboard that ship. It's one of the tall Glenn rockets that they have, and they're going to try to get a couple of probes on the way to Mars. So we'll see how that goes, but we'll have more on that coming up in just a bit. But we're going to start off talking snow, and I shared this picture yesterday. Sarah Calloway sent this to us from the Red Mill section of Virginia Beach, a little snow on the deck. While the snow was minor here, other parts of the country got some more significant snow. We don't have any of that to worry about this morning, not here in Hampton Roads. We did have a few sprinkles pass by to the north, but the snow continues up around the Great Lakes and portions of the Northeast. You're looking at the radar loop from yesterday and into early this morning. Some of that snow steady moving across parts of New York State and then into Massachusetts, up into New Hampshire, and Vermont has been seeing some snow as well. Now, it has been cold, pretty frigid across the area, and we have seen some snowfall. So let's show you some of this. We'll start off with a look up in the mountains. Charlotte, you can see flurries in the air, and look at how the white roads are up there. Of course, this was very pretty to look at. It didn't create major problems, but doesn't take a lot before those roads do get very slick, so folks need to use a little extra caution there yesterday with the snow coming down up around Charlotte. Now, you really do need to be careful if you decide to drive through those snowy conditions. They were never that bad here, but areas off to the north, it was much worse. We'll take you up north all the way to New York, and again, they've been dealing with a lot more snow. They're getting the lake effect snow, and that's, of course, when that cold, dry air moves over large bodies of warmer water. That moisture near the surface of the warm water gets pulled up, and then it condenses and it falls back down as snow, and at times that snow can be very, very heavy. How about Vermont, where they might be a little more prepared for extreme snow and weather? Again, you can see a lot of snow falling up into Vermont. Beautiful to look at, but they have to keep those roads cleared, and you can see just how messy those roads got. You've got people working there to keep the cars cleared off. The roads, again, can be treacherous up there. Abigail Sachs from WCAX has more.
Ann and BJ Bombard were out all morning shoveling their driveway.
Kind of in sticker shock right now.
They knew snow was coming, but didn't expect this much.
Thought we'd be able to probably just push it away easy in the morning, but turned out it was heavy, mushy snow, and much more of a chore than we expected.
They say this much snow came earlier than they thought it would.
You got a nice car over there cleaning it off.
Old one. Yeah, usually I have it in before the snow so it doesn't get salt. But Mother Nature beat me to it.
The snowfall caused traffic trouble for some. Thomas Fleury works in Heinsberg and says it took him double the time to get home Monday night.
I did find some freezing rain and a little snow. It was pretty, but it was prettier when I got home and watched it from inside of my house than it was through the windshield.
Luckily, he got his snow tires on ahead of the storm.
Vermont, we know how to do snow. It's a survival thing, and we know how to cope and to get our snow tires on early for the most part.
But for others, the snow beat the tire changeover. Handy's Auto Shop tells us they were towing cars through the evening.
We picked up a couple more left from last night that we didn't have time to get them. Yeah, it was a very busy night last night.
Charlie Handy says the road blockages pose difficulties for the tow trucks to get to people in need.
Took me almost an hour and a half to go 3 miles. So the tow truck have the same issues as everybody else. You know, we try to get there as fast as safely as we can. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but we usually get there and get them out.
He says they're expecting busy business for the next few days with people coming in to get their snow tires.
I love the New Englanders, okay? We take a look, and they've got snow up there, freezing temperatures. He's wearing a hoodie. It's kind of unzipped a little bit. You got the reporter up there. She's got on kind of a fleece, kind of a jacket. Not a big deal. Here in Hampton Roads with those conditions, a lot of folks here in the Mid-Atlantic and down south would have on the full parkas and the scarves and the hats saying, what's happening? They're used to that cold and snow up in Vermont and, again, into other parts of New England, including New Hampshire and Massachusetts. They're still seeing the snow this morning. All right, we're going to turn our attention down across parts of the South, specifically Arkansas and into Kentucky. Temperatures now at 48, but earlier those temperatures were sub-freezing yesterday and overnight. So I want you to check this out. Frost flowers formed in Arkansas and Kentucky. Now, you can see from these images here, the plants are mostly covered in ice. According to the National Weather Service, these frost flowers form when thin layers of ice emerge out of the slits of white or yellow wingstem plants. Very cool to see that. Now, what happens there, you actually have the frost. There's what we call accretion, where some of the cold, moist air, there's little very super cooled water droplets kind of form, and they run into other areas that are starting to freeze and get ice covered, and they grow and they expand out. So that's what you're looking at. And again, it is just so pretty. All right, we're going to take a look at snow, and we've been talking so much about it. You can see the lows this morning, not quite cold enough to support it, but yesterday, as I mentioned, a different story. It has been windy this morning, and those winds are making it feel like it was in the 20s early this morning and low 30s, but the actual air temperature's a little too warm to support the snow or ice this morning. Yesterday in Norfolk, picking up that thin coating of snow around the airport, 0.2 inches of snow specifically at Norfolk International. That ties the earliest measurable snowfall for the airport on record for Norfolk. The previous time that we did it was the 11th. So again, we tied that being the 11th yesterday back in 1987 when they picked up about 1/3 of an inch. So yesterday's flurries and light snow, that was a very, very rare event here in Hampton Roads, but pretty cool to see that. As we mentioned, light amounts, but early start to winter. Now, with all this talk of snow, you know, there are different shapes and sizes, different ways these things form. The snow that falls, that covers the ground, it is not all the same. They form, snowflakes do, under various conditions, changing the way they look and how they're shaped. Here's my colleague, meteorologist Evan Stewart, with more.
Now, most of us grew up cutting out snowflakes from construction paper, you know, with 6 points. The truth is, however, many snowflakes don't look like that. The shape of a snowflake is determined by the temperature and moisture in the region of the atmosphere where that snow forms. Water vapor condenses and freezes onto a tiny nucleus, skipping the liquid phase. And it's the temperature and humidity that influence the crystal-like pattern. Each flake, depending on those differences, can form into hexagonal plates, needles, columns, stellar plates, and of course the more common dendrites. Snowflakes that form in supersaturated air tend to be more delicate and ornate. A gentleman by the name of Wilson Snowflake Bentley revolutionized the way we view snowflakes. He was the first person to successfully photograph individual snowflakes, documenting more than 5,000 flakes and capturing their intricate beauty. His work ended up being published in a book called Snow Crystals in 1931, and his contributions are now recognized in both the fields of meteorology and photography.
Love that information. Thanks so much, Evan. So we've been talking a lot about snow so far here on the Weather Desk, but now we're going to turn our attention back to the tropics. And you can see with the satellite images what's going on up here around Taiwan. A little bit of cloud cover associated with Fung-Wong. Let's take this full, and I want to give you the very latest on Fung-Wong. You can see it moving again close to early this morning, really just crossing the southern tip of Taiwan. A minimal tropical storm, those winds at 45 miles per hour with that 7 a.m. update. And that, when I say 7 a.m., I'm talking 7 a.m. Eastern time. So obviously it's a different time over in Taiwan, but this is the very latest update now, just a couple hours old from their weather services. They're monitoring this, and it is going to weaken as it moves off. So not the hardest hit to Taiwan, but folks there still were preparing and keeping a close eye to this. Now, as we take a look, remember, this produced a lot of trouble across the Philippines. I've gotten an update. I saw 19 fatalities associated with Fung-Wong as it passed over the north central part of the Philippines. But as it's moving across southern Taiwan, it's the flooding that they were most concerned. We've got new videos showing families already cleaning up mud and debris from roads, and this woman's home completely flooded out. You can also see emergency personnel in rafts. They were working to rescue people along the way. We also have new video showing people riding to safety in the back of a construction vehicle. So this was a big problem. Even though the system was weakened, a lot of rain there for Taiwan from Fung-Wong. You can see just how wet the entire area is and the need for folks to navigate those waters. It is a mess. All right, let's take a look at what's happening in the tropics again. Fung-Wong moving off. It'll quickly pass Taiwan, and it will continue to weaken. Here in the Atlantic Basin, things are pretty quiet right now along the eastern seaboard. We only have, another 18 days or so left, or 17 days of the Atlantic hurricane season. So it is moving along. You can see the cloud cover here associated with the cold front that has cleared the area. And now we have just this west-northwest wind across parts of the northeast and a southwest wind here in the mid-Atlantic. Things are looking great across the Gulf. Most of the Caribbean very quiet, although we still have some unsettled weather in the western Caribbean. We can zoom in and take a little closer look. Just some cumulus clouds over the southern Gulf. As we look into the eastern Pacific, it looks like there might be something here, but it's really not showing any signs of organization at all. Just clusters of storms kind of moving along. Right now, the Hurricane Center is not worried about any formation in the eastern Pacific, so that's good news. Back over across the Atlantic, you can see Bermuda now in the clear. That front has cleared their area as well. And the main development region, this is the area that really fires up in August and September. This area is still quiet, so in general, no tropical activity expected over the next 7 days, and we just don't have that much more time left in the Atlantic season. All right, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about northern lights spotted pretty far south, farther south than usual. We'll talk about our chances to see those coming up here in Hampton Roads and other parts of the country as well. And then that Escapade mission set to launch later today. We'll talk more about that after this 2-minute break. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. We're so glad you're with us. Whether you found us here on 13 News Now Plus or found us on YouTube, we love that you're here. We're going to talk some more about some of the topics we were running through. And right now, the Northern Lights. Wow, what a display. They were on full display right here in Hampton Roads overnight and early this morning. Take a look at that. Tons of beautiful colors, a mix of vibrant greens and purples, a little bit of red in there as well. Areas in Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, even parts of Texas got a chance to see them. Now, those northern lights were absolutely beautiful. Thankfully, skies will be clear tonight, giving us a better position to see more of those northern lights again. A lot of people don't know what really causes them. You might be wondering, okay, yeah, it's super cool, but where do these come from? Meteorologist Taylor Stephenson breaks down how auroras form.
The northern lights, scientifically known as the aurora borealis, are one of the most beautiful shows the atmosphere can put on. Let's dive into how the northern lights form. Charged protons and electrons are emitted from the sun during solar flares and coronal mass ejections. Solar flares are explosions on the Earth's surface. Coronal mass ejections are gas bubbles expelled by the sun. Solar wind blows the protons and electrons towards the Earth. Then the particles follow Earth's magnetic field and enter the atmosphere through the north and south poles, sparking a geomagnetic storm. The charged particles collide with atmospheric molecules, specifically oxygen and nitrogen. The charged particles collide with atmospheric molecules, specifically oxygen and nitrogen. These collisions cause the atmospheric molecules to release energy, producing the vibrant colors associated with auroras. The colors displayed depend on the height of the collisions and which molecules were struck. Pink auroras occur below 100 kilometers when the charged solar particles hit nitrogen molecules. Green auroras shine when the particles collide with oxygen molecules from 100 kilometers to 200 kilometers and up. Blue auroras beam at the same height as green auroras, but appear when solar particles strike nitrogen molecules. Red auroras are rarer and dance above 200 kilometers when oxygen molecules clash with numerous solar electrons. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson.
So cool. I hope to see him tonight. I already made plans with my wife. I said, hey, once the sun goes down, we're probably going to try to get out there around 6:30 or 7 o'clock this evening. We're going to take a walk along the beach away from some of the lights a little bit and look up, see if we can't catch a few of those auroras. They're just gorgeous, and hopefully you can as well. Look at how much of the country is expecting mainly clear conditions. So with the auroras visible again a little farther south, hopefully we will get a peak. And again, this is all a product of coronal mass ejections. Okay, these are just these massive, kind of solar flares that come out, and a lot of sunspot activity. That's what we've seen, and we are expecting more of them later tonight. So we'll see. All right, while we have this view, let's zoom into the Space Coast here in Cape Canaveral. Specifically, there was a mission that was set to launch. It had to be scrubbed earlier due to weather. You can see it looks pretty good right now. Today, the mission Escapade is supposed to go. If you remember, the last launch was scrubbed again due to some clouds and bad weather in the launch area. Here's video of that failed launch. Tons of fog creating limited visibility, and anytime these rockets take off through a lot of cloud cover, there's a fear that it could spark lightning strikes, and that could mess up the whole mission, obviously. So you can see the flames rolling out the New Glenn rocket, even though the launch didn't happen. They were really close. Now, for those of you that didn't know, this launch was supposed to go to Mars, and it's a big deal. Thankfully, the rocket has an approved window for later this afternoon around 3 o'clock. I believe the Escapade has 2 different probes for Mars that they're going to launch, and we will see, fingers certainly crossed, that they're able to get it off. And right now, things are looking good with that afternoon launch window. All right, we're going to turn our attention now to the weather in general across the country. A little bit of unsettled weather off the west coast and a little bit up along the Pacific Northwest. We've been talking a lot about the snow back in the Northeast. There's another quick moving system that's going to produce some more unsettled weather for the Northeast U.S. Meanwhile, high pressure dominating again the Florida Space Coast and the Southeast U.S. We are going to enjoy a lot of really nice weather here in Hampton Roads. So things are looking good here. High pressure dominating the Four Corners region as well. We'll take a look at the snow again, parts of western and northwestern Pennsylvania, eastern New York, and then Connecticut up into Massachusetts, southern New Hampshire, and parts of western Vermont getting snow right now. Rain showers back across both the upper peninsula and lower peninsula of Michigan. You can see there we have the showers. Most of the country, though, really pretty dry today. As we get into the forecast across the country, temperatures will top out around 63 in Atlanta, Raleigh about the same. It is cooler to the north and the northeast U.S. Boston, a little wet, mid-40s there. Orlando, skies partly cloudy, 69, 76 in New Orleans. As we look across the central U.S., plenty of sunshine. Chicago, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Omaha, Oklahoma City, Dallas, all looking good down through Houston. Houston's high around 82 degrees. Looking back out west, a little unsettled. San Francisco, breezy up around Seattle. A few more clouds, L.A. and Vegas. They might get a stray sprinkle. We'll see. Most of that wet weather still offshore. 86 in Phoenix, 69 in Denver, and 61 up in Billings. So pretty warm surge all the way up into Montana for today. Let's get into our local sky view, and this is from Hampton. This is a Thompson Creek Window Company sky view. Look at the beautiful foliage. Absolutely loving it. We've got the carousel here. This is the Hampton River. You can see some of the fishing boats kind of docked alongside the pier right there. Just a really, really nice day up in Hampton. Not a cloud in the sky there. At Norfolk International, it's mostly sunny and 45, so still cool. But we have west-southwest winds today that are going to push our temperatures up a little bit. So as we go through the day with the southwest and the west-southwest winds, we're going to see the temperatures climbing as we get into the afternoon. Yesterday's high, 45. Today, we're going to be about 15 degrees warmer. Look for a high close to 60 this afternoon. At noon, temperatures in the mid-50s. Again, warmer this afternoon. We'll certainly take that as we look ahead to this evening, back into the low 50s, so a little bit cooler. It will be chillier overnight with temperatures in the mid-40s near the coast, low 50s, or low 40s rather, for Chesapeake, Franklin, back out towards Wakefield, temperatures in the 40s along the peninsula, and a little bit of cloud cover towards sunrise tomorrow. So again, mainly clear or clear this evening and for much of the overnight, but by sunrise tomorrow, a few clouds drift through. We'll see a little bit of that in the morning, but skies will become mostly sunny later in the day for your Thursday, and temperatures back in the upper 50s to near 60. All right, let's take a look at the forecast then. Out on the water, we have not gale warnings. We had gale warnings yesterday. Those have been downgraded to small craft advisories as the winds are not as great today and the waves and the seas kind of settling a little bit, although still a lot of action out there, 4 to 6 feet, occasionally a 7-footer east of Virginia Beach. We do have the small craft advisories up, so small craft encouraged to stay in port. Bay waves 3 to 5 feet, but there were even larger waves yesterday for our coastal waters. All right, the high tide comes this afternoon around 2:51. As we look ahead to the afternoon temperatures, I mentioned close to 60 for Norfolk, low 60s inland from Chesapeake to Suffolk and Franklin up towards Wakefield. Even Virginia Beach around 61. That's for town center. At the beaches, more like upper 50s to near 60. We'll be in the low 60s for the peninsula. Gloucester around 61. Temperatures in the 50s over to the eastern shore. Breezy there at Cape Charles. Southwest winds coming across the water. And again, without much friction there, they're going to be blowing a little bit harder there around Cape Charles. Up at Tangier Island, we've been seeing gusts 30 to 35 miles per hour there as well. Outer Banks a little breezy, lots of sunshine though, upper 50s to near 60, low 60s for most of northeast North Carolina. As we head through the overnight, we're going to find lows near 44 degrees, mainly clear, not as breezy, some more clouds towards sunrise. So if you're going to go out and try to catch some of the auroras, you'll want to do that during the evening hours or through the early part of the overnight. If you wait too long and think, oh, I'll just get up early tomorrow morning, you may see some more clouds early in the morning. I expect that. Skies will become sunny later in the day Thursday. We'll start off with a few clouds early, but skies become sunny. It will be cool. Temperatures about 3 or 4 degrees below average tomorrow, but pleasant with that high around 59 degrees. Winds tomorrow still gusting up to about 20 miles per hour. All right, so more sunshine Thursday and Friday. Saturday looks good. Sunday, we get a bump in temperatures up to about 69. Low risk of a shower to the north. I think most of the area remains dry, and then a little cooler behind a front coming through. Back to about 60 and mostly sunny. On Tuesday, we have some more unsettled weather pushing into the region, so we will see better chances for showers here on Tuesday. Want to remind you, you can always get the full forecast, get access to our radars and breaking news, weather, and traffic updates as well. When you download the 13 News Now mobile app, it's available on the App Store and Google Play. It's a free app, all the content there, free and accessible 24/7. It's just a great resource all the way around. Tell your friends about the Weather Desk. We love doing this. We've got a team of producers working hard behind the scenes, and we get information. We have live interviews. A lot of times we'll take a look at stories, not just around Hampton Roads, but obviously around the country and around the world as we did today. And then we take you out to space as well. Being here in Hampton Roads, we have access to some of the great folks with NASA and some other wonderful resources here that we can tap into to bring you a little bit more information, a deeper dive, if you will, into the top weather headlines. I hope you enjoyed today's edition of the Weather Desk. Again, I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, broadcasting from the 13 News Now studios in Southeast Virginia. We'll look forward to seeing you again right here on the Weather Desk.